Hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Have you found yourself getting into the habit of drinking most days, weekdays, perhaps after work? It's Adam here, and this hypnosis session is designed to help you break that habit of habitual drinking. And habitual drinking is very, very different from intentional drinking. It's not a problem to drink alcohol on special occasions or if you're deciding that that's what you want to do, but a lot of people are mindlessly drinking. And I think COVID had a big impact on that. The pandemic kind of taught everyone to get a load of alcohol and keep it in their homes and then have it whenever they wanted it. And quite often before that, a lot of people had boundaries. They wouldn't have so much alcohol in their home and they would go to a bar or a restaurant when they drank rather than having it there almost on demand. And this client was like that. They had a habit of not drinking during the weekday before the pandemic, but then after that, they fell into that trap of habitually drinking, particularly when preparing meals in the evenings. What this does is it taps into the ethos of destroying the narrative that alcohol helps them to relax, because the memory that this client had of them feeling most relaxed was lying on a sun lounger on a holiday with no drink in sight. And that's irrefutable evidence that they can relax without needing alcohol. Their past of not drinking on a weekday was irrefutable evidence that they don't need to drink on a weekday to de-stress and unwind from work. And then it has a lot of disassociated future pacing, seeing different futures, different habits, different standards, and seeing what would be the consequence of that. This utilizes something called the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. And that is that this client didn't want to eliminate all drinking. They just wanted to keep most of the drinking that would actually give them genuine joy and genuine connection. And this tended to be social drinking. So drinking on a weekend, maybe a Friday or Saturday evening with other people outside of their home would ensure they get the majority of the fun and joy from drinking, but without all of the downsides. It wouldn't affect their next day at work, because if they go out on a Friday or a Saturday, they're not then working the day after. So this is really about having your cake and eating it. It's about keeping alcohol in your life if you choose to do that, but without having that element of the downsides. And this particular client felt through their own experience that if they had a bottle of wine on a weekday, they would feel a bit dull. They would lose a bit of their sharpness and their focus the following day. So I introduce an analogy of a saw chopping down a tree that gets more and more blunt with every glass of wine, so that they intuitively get a sense that this is what's happening to them at work, that as they drink the wine, it is blunting their effective capacity and capabilities in the workplace. That's really important, because for them, that was an important thing that they wanted to get good at and feel better at. And in the past, when they weren't drinking on the weekdays, they did feel that they had that ability to be more sharp and more focused. There's a lot going on here, but at its core, it is simply increasing a boundary as to when it's okay to drink and when it isn't. Not by saying that they can't drink, but by saying that surely they don't want to unless it meets certain criteria. And that criteria is it's on a weekend and it's social or it's a special occasion. And if it does that, then fine, why not? But if it doesn't, then it isn't worth it. And that element of it's not worth it, everyone has a price. There will be certain things that you buy at a certain price, but if the person selling them to you quadrupled the price, you would stop buying it. And the way to think about alcohol is not to think of it in terms of financial cost, but in terms of other costs. If it makes you less focused, if it messes up your sleep, if it causes arguments in your relationship, if it's giving you excess body fat, that's the real cost of alcohol, not how much you pay for that particular drink. So there's a bit going on here. Obviously, it was created for an individual, and therefore some of the suggestions are incredibly tailored to the client that I was working with. Ignore any suggestions that aren't right for you, hone into the ones that are. And if you like the idea of a bespoke session and you want to work with me directly, there will be a link in the show notes, the description, where you can book a completely free consultation call to explore working with me. I'll explain my process, the costs, everything else, and who knows, we may end up working together. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that slow, long, relaxing breath, and as you exhale, release all the tension in your eyelids, and with your eyes closed, focus just on the sound of my voice. Breathing in relaxation, exhaling tension, each breath taking you deeper and deeper relaxed. The deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel. And the more relaxed you feel, the deeper you breathe. And as your body relaxes, your imagination awakens. And I wonder if you could imagine an island there in the Caribbean, and somewhere in that island is a pool that overlooks a cove. And just allow your imagination to take you by the side of that pool. Maybe you can imagine a lounger, the sunshine, perhaps sounds, maybe the pool, maybe the waves, maybe the breeze on your skin. And as you connect to that place, I want you to feel connected to a truth that you can enjoy yourself. You can relax. You can feel at peace. You can unwind and not need any alcohol to do so. This moment is irrefutable evidence that there was a time that you used to think that you needed alcohol to relax. And yet here, in this moment, you simply know that it was never true. It was never true then, and it isn't true now. So breathe in and breathe out there on that lounger. Feel connected to that feeling of peace, relaxation, tranquility. Very soon I will count down from 5 to 1. And I want you to imagine drifting off into a dreamlike sleep. Because you can do anything in your dreams. You can go back to the past and think of the future. That's it. 5. Eyelids getting heavier and heavier, jaw loosening. 4. Any tension around your neck or your shoulders just melting away. 3. Arms feeling limp, loose and heavy. And then 2, all of your internal organs all the way down to your gut, releasing, relaxing, now. And then 1, just feel your legs limp, loose and heavy, so your arms and legs feel like the limbs of a puppet with no strings. And connect with that feeling as you drift deeper and deeper inwards to that place where new ideas form new beliefs, and new beliefs create new boundaries, new standards, new ways of living. That's it. I want you to get a sense as you step inside to a place that seems like your own private cinema. But this is a three-dimensional cinema. Instead of seeing a two-dimensional screen, see a hologram. And I want you to see a hologram of your life when you already had a boundary that made sense when it came to drinking. A time in your life when you didn't drink on a Monday through to Thursday. I wonder if you could observe that version of you. Work still finished. You still found a way to relax, unwind, de-stress, and yet you didn't need a beer or a glass of wine to do it. So imagine being comfy in that soft seat in the cinema, seeing that three-dimensional movie of your past, and just extract all of the wisdom. Evidence that you don't need alcohol to relax when you finish working. There was a time you told yourself that. I need it to relax, I need it to unwind. I've had a stressful day. But as you look at this memory, that was also true then. You had stressful days, difficult times, and yet, by not drinking alcohol during the week, you were able to keep yourself sharp, focused. You were sleeping better, and you were able to get more done, more efficiently. Like your brain was operating at a higher processor speed. You were able to activate more resources. And I want you to contrast that time in your life with now, as you reveal a hologram of your recent past. These times where you felt you needed that glass of wine, that beer to help you unwind. And you felt like that was true, that it was helping you with the stress. But by lowering and limiting your cognitive processing power, all you were doing is creating more stress and requiring more effort for the very next day. I want you to imagine there you are in a forest with a saw. And I want you to imagine that saw is sharp. And as you imagine cutting the tree with that sharp saw, feel that whatever effort you invest leads directly to progress and results. But just imagine next to that tree is a bottle of wine. Imagine pouring that glass, drinking it. And as you look at the blade of the saw, see it becoming dull and blunted. And now when you try and continue sawing the tree, it requires even more effort to make even less progress. And you might be stressed at all of that work that you're doing to chop down this tree, so you pour yourself another glass of wine. And then look at the teeth of that saw getting blunter. Someone could chop down a tree with an axe, but not with a spoon. The less sharp you become, the more effort is required. And if your unconscious understands that alcohol hasn't been helping, it's been hindering, it's been the very impediment to make things worse, let me know by nodding your head. To extract all of the wisdom from the past and imagine a hologram now in that same cinema where you see yourself with a new relationship with alcohol, a boundary. You already have boundaries. You don't drink in the morning. You don't drink while you're working. I want you to imagine this hologram of your future is just expanding boundaries that are already there. Imagine that future version of you where your unconscious boundary is that you don't drink during the week. Unless it's a holiday, a flight, or a very special occasion, you don't do it. Not because you can't, but because that future version of you is choosing not to. Not by using willpower and discipline, but by using discernment. That future version of you just doesn't want it. And if you could imagine that future, returning home from work, maybe after a run or a cycle ride, seeing yourself preparing a meal, but seeing yourself perhaps pouring a glass of water with a slice of lemon instead of that Chardonnay or that glass of beer. I want you to see the version of you that is keeping yourself sharp and focused, and yet still enjoying your evening. In fact, that version of you ends up having a better quality of life, because that version of you gets to make new plans and really intentionally enjoy your evenings, rather than falling into the habit of sinking in front of the TV and watching whatever's there or doom scrolling on your phone. That version of you that has replaced wine with refreshing water can drink, they're just choosing not to. And if you can see that version of you with the perfect boundary during the week, that even if there is alcohol there in the fridge or in the apartment, you just don't want it. In fact, that version of you starts to believe that every time you turn it down, you are voting on what version of you want to be. Sharp and focused, or sluggish and blunt. You vote with your choices. And once you've seen which version of you you'd prefer, let me know by nodding your head. Step into that hologram, feel how it would feel. Perhaps tomorrow or an upcoming day. Preparing that meal and enjoying pouring yourself a refreshing glass of water, a slice of lemon or lime, feeling hydrated, refreshed, feeling proud, feeling aligned, feeling sharp, and yet still completely relaxed. Drift back to that chair in the cinema, observing this future hologram, and then imagine seeing yourself on a weekend, maybe a Friday night, a Saturday night, even a Sunday lunchtime. See yourself drinking in moderation, but only if it's outside of the house, or inside the house, but only if you have guests, only if it's a special occasion. And I want you to get a sense that this keeps that small part of alcohol that gives you the right level of enjoyment, but without blunting your edge. There's no downside. In fact, if your last drink is at lunchtime on a Sunday, just in the same way that you wouldn't drink caffeine late at night, imagine not drinking alcohol the night before you have work the following day. And if your unconscious feel that this is a wonderful compromise, a boundary that reduces mindless drinking and enables you to enhance intentional social drinking, let me know by nodding your head. Drift into the hologram and then imagine being tested some Friday night, Saturday night, and maybe it's your partner, maybe it's your own inner dialogue that says, why not? It's the weekend. And I want you to feel how you would handle that, to respect your own boundary. Because a boundary isn't where you set it. A boundary is where you enforce it. I want you to get a sense that the boundary is what you do, not what you say. And if you feel that you can maneuver and establish that boundary where you only drink on a weekend in your own home, if you have guests or it's an occasion, and that feels like a boundary that you can stick to, let me know by nodding your head. And then imagine you're out and about, maybe a restaurant, a bar, somewhere else, dinner party. And if it's a Friday or a Saturday evening, I want you to feel that you have the option, but without the obligation. And every now and then imagine still having that glass of water, even on a Friday or a Saturday, just to prove to yourself that you are the one in control. You decide when you drink, what you drink, and how much you drink. And when it's intentional, it becomes more enjoyable. But if it becomes habitual, your unconscious will give you an emotional clue, like regret, or shame, or tiredness, or fatigue. And your job is to pay attention to how you feel. Because a nice glass of wine on a Friday or Saturday evening shared with others will also give you clues. You will enjoy the moment and feel no regret the following day. When you are aligned with your values, your boundaries, with your standards, there is no emotional penalty. But if you do feel that regret, that shame, that guilt, it doesn't mean you failed. It's just feedback, like a line of code which creates a bug. You don't wipe everything. You just amend that line of code. You tweak it, refine it, and then it all works fine. If your unconscious agrees, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine one final hologram there in that cinema. Imagine on the left is you if you continue on the path that you're on. Blunt, sluggish. Maybe it means you've got to work harder, carry more stress. But imagine that happening over 5 years. And then imagine that version of you with that ideal relationship with alcohol. 5 years from now, sharp, on the ball, sleeping well, healthy, vibrant. Because when you make one positive change, rarely does it stop there. You've had the experience of maybe decorating one room of the house. And when that room looks great, you feel inspired, not obligated, to improve the other rooms. And once this new relationship with alcohol becomes the new habit, don't be surprised if you're inspired to make refinements to other areas of your life too. Not because you have to, but because you choose to. And then contrast 2 different versions of you 5 years from now. The blunt, tired, stressed version compared to the sharp, focused, intentional version. And allow your body to float into whichever version of you that you want to wake up tomorrow. And when you've done that, let me know by nodding your head. And this is your identity now. You will act like someone that is kind of bored with alcohol. Kind of feels like that's what you did in your late teens and 20s. But if you never did that in your teens and 20s, would you really start now? And if the answer is no, then it means all alcohol is just a choice. Take it or leave it. But when you decide to take it only on your terms, on a Friday, Saturday night, on a special occasion, or on a weekday evening while you're on vacation, that's not because you have to, it's because you're choosing to. And if at any point in the future that loses its appeal, you reserve the right to expand your boundaries even more. Allow your unconscious to consider only drinking, only on special occasions. And maybe that becomes a more desirable place to get to. But that's something for your unconscious to consider. For now, consider the new boundary of choosing not to drink on a weekday. Feels inspiring. Feels like a challenge. It feels like something all parts can get behind because there's no downside. You keep the drinking that gives you pleasure or joy and just end that mindless drinking that was just habit anyway. If all parts of your unconscious agree, let me know by nodding your head. Now it's time to float back Find yourself no longer in the cinema, but there on that lounger by the pool, looking over a cove. And then imagine floating all the way back to your present, but taking all of these new ideas, boundaries, standards, and changes with you. And when you wake up tomorrow, it's this version of you that will awaken. And when you return from work on a weekday, you will have no desire to drink because you don't need it, don't want it, and feel better when you don't have it. So take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.